WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out Warning.
Live in the studio.
It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
Woo! Good morning. Welcome in. Here we go on an overreaction Monday, which I am looking forward to. What a weekend. Hope you get to enjoy your snow day. And be careful out there. I drove really slow in, but there were more people on the road than I thought would be, which was kind of weird considering it is snow out there. But hope you're doing well. This is the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, WRKS. We are always powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Bet $50 there. Play award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Not today, but later in the week when the sun comes out. Award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, Philadelphia, Mississippi, Pearl River Resort. We are streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. The Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line is 601-707-3750. Twitter handle at BoBounds. And you know it by heart. Mississippi Ag John Deere Tractor text line 601-885-3776. I've got Blake Mania with me. I am your host, Bo Bounds. We'll have Steve Robertson at 7:35. Talk a little Hail State sports. How about that? Any number of directions we can go there. But Steve Robertson will join us at 7:35. Want to say congratulations to the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees. I think he has a birthday Thursday. So that was a nice win.
Gets his AARP card, right?
Wow. Shots fired early.
By the way, I'm a fan.
From the Blakey Blakester, who was probably not happy that the Saints won yesterday. But they did in what I thought was a boring game. Is that fair, Blake?
It's more than appropriate.
Okay.
It was terrible.
But you won, and now the two 40-year-old dudes play in Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Congratulations to NFL Chuck and the Cleveland Browns. They haven't won a playoff game since Bill Clinton's first term in office.
Good.
Yeah. That's a long time, believe
it or not. It's incredible. 1994-95.
Wow.
That's remarkable. Tell you how long ago it was. They beat the Patriots in the wild card round.
They beat the Patriots. All right, so not last night, but they beat the Steelers. And I think the question there is, was that Ben Roethlisberger's last game?
Hot take.
I don't know. John Ledyard, NFL insider, does a great job. He's also a Steelers fan. He basically just laid it out and said, hey, Ben Roethlisberger and Pouncey are two great players, but it's a business, and it is time to move on.
Pro Football Focus has said Marquise Pouncey, the Steelers center, rated the worst pass-snapping center in the last 3 seasons, and you saw first play of the game. You saw that come to fruition.
Man, oh, man, that was bad. It reminded me of the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning and the Seahawks, and they snapped it, and everything fell apart from there. It's amazing how that can happen in the NFL.
And yet the Steelers had it within 12 to start the fourth quarter. And honestly, if you asked me right then, I said Steelers are going to come back and win.
Yeah, I was texting NFL Chuck, and he was freaking out, which I don't blame him. I mean, what are they, 6-44?
Yeah.
At Pittsburgh, post-1970? That's incredible, really. I mean, I understand that they haven't had success, but when you're 6-44 on another team's home field and they're in your division, that's hard to do.
Yeah, if you're not in the SEC West, that normally doesn't happen.
Wow. Speaking of, we got the Natty tonight, Bama and Ohio State. What do you think there? Who do you like and why? Does Saban throw up another title? What will this be? Number 7?
Ooh.
Number 7. He's already recognized as the greatest coach in the history of college football. And Bear Bryant was unbelievable. But Nick Saban tonight has a chance to throw up natty number 7. That is, and that's with losing juniors to the NFL and 85 scholarships, right? I mean, Bear Bryant and Woody Hayes could sign as many players as they wanted. I mean, they had them on swimming scholarship, track scholarship, and everything else. I mean, so did Vaught. All of them did. But it was the programs that didn't that were missing out. Saban with his 7th natty tonight, or does Ryan Day get his first?
Ooh. What a road to, like, legacy building if you're Ryan Day and you beat Dabo and Saban back-to-back.
Yeah.
To win the title. In really a season where people didn't really, after the first couple weeks, stopped giving you the opportunity to win it, you know? People kind of wrote off Ohio State, so it's pretty remarkable.
Oh, man. The game's in Miami.
That's right.
Weather's supposed to be great.
South Beach.
You know, so we'll see how that looks. We'll discuss that throughout the show, Bama and Ohio State. Ade says, Bo, we drive Range Rovers. We can drive fast in the snow. You know, I traded in my Range Rover. I did. Just a few weeks ago. I enjoyed it. I liked it, but I wasn't emotional. It was time to cut the cord. So, but that's a good point. It does have that snow button on there.
It's accurate.
Yeah. So I would have been able to use that this morning if I still had the Range Rover. I didn't think about that.
I used the snow mode on the old Jeep today. First time. Exciting.
That doesn't have the same. Sorry, you just ruined everything about that. You just told us that you have a snow button on your Jeep and nobody cares.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Now, a Range Rover, different deal.
Hey, I drove one in high school.
Well,
I was 10 years old. Had like 100,000 miles on it. It was fantastic.
Golly, I bet that thing wasn't scared to break down.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet it was awesome.
Black, brown leather interior. Ooh. Thing was smoke show.
That's what you think. Live in the Bank Plus studio, Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. It's National Milk Day. Are you drinking milk over there, Hot Shot?
I am not. This is coffee.
Okay.
But later.
Do you get leaded? Or do you go with leaded or unleaded milk?
I'm going to guess
so you've
unleaded
got whole milk,
2%.
2%,
right? Yeah.
1%.
I'm a 2%er.
Oh, you're a 2%er.
2%er. That's how I was
Gotcha.
raised, I guess. That's what I'm sure if I had like grown up drinking whole milk, I would drink whole milk, but I grew up drinking regular 2% milk. I said regular.
Okay.
That was regular to me, so that's what I drink.
When I was growing up, all you had is just one shot.
Yeah, that's where you had to scrape the butter off the top, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, you had to go get it from the cow.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
All right, and then you did that.
Life was still in black and white when you were a kid.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, leaded or unleaded milk? That's a good question. Live in the Bank Plus studio. All right, so we've got Big Board coming up next, and the SEC Insider hit at 7:30. The Browns, the Ravens.
What
do I do? I mean, right when I start to get into the Titans, they really let me down. I'm just going to be honest. They started off so hot, going down the field, throwing it to A.J. Brown, get a touchdown pass. You know, A.J. Brown with a great catch. And then, really, that was it.
Yep.
That was it.
18 carries, 40 yards for Derrick Henry, NFL rushing leader.
Ryan Tannehill seems like a good guy. Bottom line is, what is he, a borderline starter?
He's
at the end of the day?
Former wide receiver.
Okay. At Texas A&M. Tracy says, Range Rovers have friends in Atlanta that run an auto dealership. They call those. I'm not going to say that until I go through that first and make sure that that's okay to say on the air. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone is powered by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. New Surgery Center and Clinic, Lakeland Drive, Flowood. Of course, they've been on fortification since I was in high school, which was like 47 years ago. I'm kidding. live in the Bank Plus studio. Welcome in. Good morning. It's going to be a heck of a show today.
Sports you love around the clock, anytime, anywhere. Log on to the zone at 1059.com. Central Mississippi Sports Station. What's on the big board? What's on the big board?
Are you going to drop the Sam Pittman deal or not?
Yes, sir.
It's National Arkansas Day. I got to be honest, I haven't been to Arkansas that much.
I went to one game in Fayetteville and one game in Little Rock.
Okay, I've been to a game in Little Rock, and I've been to an NCAA tournament basketball game in Little Rock.
I went to summer camp in the Ozark Mountains.
Derrick Rose and Jamont Gordon battled it out that night at point guard.
It's a great game.
It was a really good game. Cal and the Memphis Tigers would go on to play in the national championship game.
It was back when Cal cared.
Oh, wow.
Now I was just cashing them checks.
Just cashing $8 million a year?
Cashing them checks.
Actually, maybe more than that.
Dude, I bet his booths at the restaurants up there are majestic.
The one thing that I noticed the couple of times I've been to Lexington the last few years is his face is everywhere. I mean, John Calipari's face, I don't know how many things he endorses up in Lexington, but that dude's face is everywhere. Back to Arkansas. I almost got snowed in there one time. I had to go up there and look at a hotel. Out of grad school, I was in this hotel and condominium business, and there was this big hotel in Jonesboro. I say big, but it had a lot of rooms and a huge like lobby, and so not that it was like Ritz-Carlton-esque, but it was anyway. It started snowing while I was there, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to work out. Me getting back to Mississippi, but I made it. In fact, I got to Memphis. No, I guess I got to right out of Memphis to DeSoto County, and I stopped at somewhere, I guess a Hampton or something, and I went to an Outback and ended up sitting by a Mississippi State assistant coach.
That's funny.
Yeah, this was like 2002. I guess they were about to get fired. I think. What position did that guy? Anyway, we talked for hours.
That's incredible.
Yeah. All right. Back to the big board. Saints win. Buccaneers win. So we got two dudes in their 40s playing.
85 combined age of the starting quarterbacks.
There you go.
Be the oldest in playoff history, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that would make sense. I mean, most of these guys were done by 35 years. I mean, the training. Look at Brees and Brady. I mean, the diet, the training, the nutrition. It's incredible. That's why LeBron's still good at 36 or so. Not just good. I'm sorry. He's still the best player in the game. NFL Chuck, Cleveland Browns take out the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is that it for Ben Roethlisberger? Ben has been a great player. He's such a unique player at the quarterback position because he doesn't look athletic, but he is.
It's like trying to tackle a mountain.
Yeah. That guy, even when he's like his knees kind of go in, he just does not look like an athlete. Yet he has proven time and time again to be elusive in the pocket, to be able to break containment, extend plays. I mean, he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
And I get that he played for an organization that, for the most part, always has their I's dotted and T's crossed. I mean, the Steelers are kind of reminiscent of Bama, a little bit. There's some similarities there. But is that it for Ben Roethlisberger? We know this is it for Brees. Brees extended his career by at least another week. And we'll see. So we get Brady and Brees, both north of 40, in New Orleans. Winner goes to the NFC Championship game. So one of them will be in it.
Yeah, and it'll be Rams.
That's incredible.
Rams Packers. So we could have Aaron Rodgers versus a greatest of all time candidate, Tom Brady or Drew Brees, or you could have the golf/Wofford-led Rams back in the NFC title game. Is Sean McVay a wizard or what?
Well, the Seahawks wasted a great opportunity considering everything that was happening with the Rams.
If Dak Prescott put up a performance of Russell Wilson's caliber on Saturday, they would be tarring and feathering him and sending him out to the streets.
He would get crushed if he played. Like any number of guys over the weekend.
Might have been the worst performance I've seen from Russell Wilson. I mean, it was just bad.
It was bad.
I didn't expect it.
I don't know what it is about Sean McVay.
And Aaron Donald. Is he
Yeah.
not the greatest? Is he the greatest defensive lineman in the history of the game?
He missed the last quarter and a half of the game.
And was still dominant.
That's when I thought, wow, are they going to take advantage?
And they couldn't. Seahawks could never get it going. Look, Jalen Ramsey, for whatever it's worth, we'll see how this goes because they're going to get to match up next year. Jalen Ramsey owns DK Metcalf. Now, Metcalf owns about 99% of everybody else, but Jalen Ramsey shuts him down.
He's a special player.
Yeah.
He is. All right, so either Brady or Brees are in the NFC Championship game.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Green Bay?
Green Bay will play the Rams, Aaron Donald.
So what's going to happen are they going to do the same thing to Green Bay?
I don't know, man. Green Bay's offense has not struggled the way Seattle's did. Speaking of quarterbacks that are headed out the door, Phillip Rivers, did we see his last game ever?
Yeah, he says he wants to play again, but I would have to believe that Roethlisberger and Brees
for sure are done.
I think so, and probably Rivers, but I don't know. I mean, you could find a taker. You can tell there's still teams in the league that need help. I mean, what are the Titans going to do? You've got a really good team and a good coach, but you don't have the core. I mean, he's a nice player. I don't want to take anything away from him. Well, but I mean, he's just not a bona fide lead you to the promised land type guy in Ryan Tannehill. So this weekend we get Aaron Rodgers playing on one side, Brady and Brees on the other for the NFC Championship game. How about Bills Mafia?
Dude, just like the Browns, first playoff win in what seems like an eternity.
You know what I thought of? People in Buffalo, they drink leaded milk.
That's a fact.
They don't drink unleaded milk.
They drink leaded everything.
That's true. That's true.
Beer, milk, coffee.
They don't even know. I don't even think in their grocery stores that they offer 1 or 2%.
Probably not.
And it's not allowed.
And if you ask for soy milk, they burn you at the stake.
Yeah, they wouldn't even know what that. They don't know what soy milk is.
Dude, Bills Mafia is going to burn down Buffalo, New York if they find a way to win.
Make it happen.
Oh, man. Give it to me, right? Chiefs, Browns, Bills, Ravens. Now, the Ravens' defense was impressive, to say the least.
No doubt.
But there was some mental back and forth between the Titans and Ravens. There was a mental game going on there, and you saw that at the end when the Ravens players stomped all over the midfield logo.
I got to let me segue here. Big board on the Out of Bounds show. Auburn and Bama played over the weekend. Percentage of fans from Auburn and Bama that knew they were playing men's basketball?
5%.
Okay. 10 max?
Yeah, people that were associated with the game. Nobody was
How many
watching
Bama
that.
fans do you think? 2%? 3%?
They were watching the season rewind. They watched all the football games to get ready for Monday.
Or huddle tape.
Yeah.
For the 2027 class. They were breaking down 7th graders.
Yeah,
whatever year that is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So Mississippi State with a good win on the road against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, any road win in the SEC is a good win, right?
DJ Stewart, and we've talked about guard play for years. Ben now has a point guard who's good and has a good head on his shoulders. Ben had to ride the roller coaster of Lamar Peters and Nick Weatherspoon, and that was a blank show. And now he's got a young man who gets it, understands what they're asking him to do, and this is still a limited team, but Molinaro and Stewart, I guess, give you a chance almost every night, if not every night, the way the league is this year. And LSU beats Ole Miss. Ole Miss wasn't even supposed to play. They put that together on Friday morning. Incredible. That's crazy. Ole Miss was supposed to play South Carolina. And then they ended up playing LSU. So LSU wins 65-51. 75, sorry, 61. Hey, Steve Robertson coming up next at 7:35 on the SEC Insider Hit. Powered by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent.
Go Hogs. Yes, sir.
With no money down and low monthly payments, our highly qualified home comfort whisperers install your new furnace or AC at no charge. Learn more at 866-EXPERTS or ComfortTechServiceExperts.com. See website for licensed.
Come on, everyone ready?
This is the SEC Insider Hit. Presented by your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go local. Go with a home team.
All right. Good weekend for sure of sports. I mean, I wish the Seahawks would have won, and I wish the Titans would have won, but that's part of it. That was about it, though, for me. It's not like that didn't linger on me by any stretch. I guess when you've been doing this for 20 years, it's somebody wins, somebody loses, and we move on to the next thing, which is tonight. Tonight, the Natty, Bama, Roll Tide, Paul. Bama and Ohio State tonight in Miami. So, will Saban get his 7th or Ryan Day get his 1st? Will Waddle play? Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, WRKS, ESPN. SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. If you want to save, go with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Bundle your auto and home. Hit favorites.com, get a quote. It's snowing, you don't have anything else to do. Pour a cup of coffee or a Dr. Pepper, boom. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. We'll have Steve Robertson on the show at 7:35 today. Steve Robertson, 7:35, and Makai Polk. Did I say that right? Makai Polk,
I think
committed
that's
to
right.
Mississippi State from Cal, Berkeley. Did you
sophomore wide receiver?
Did you think about going to Cal Berkeley?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. The farthest.
I mean, you're kind of weird. I could see you getting into that.
farthest west I went was TCU and I guess
Texas.
Yeah, Texas. That kind of. I did look at Colorado, but I didn't ever go up there for a visit. I did get accepted there though.
You got accepted to Boulder.
Yeah, it would have been sweet, but I think that would have been a bad
they're
idea.
all
That would have been a
weird-
bad idea.
Weird and fun. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
I mean, I went to LSU. That was a bad idea too, but it's fine. We made it.
We made it. All right.
As Mike Leach says, I learned a lot of lessons there.
Don't do it anymore.
That's still the best. Oh, man. Well, that's the best. And, we're playing the game tonight, Blake. After the worst thing to ever happen in college football, the Tulsa MSU fight.
Yeah.
Can you believe that we're playing the Nat? I mean, somebody needs to get Kirk Herbstreit on the phone and let him know that we are playing the national championship game last night after he went total snowflake a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it's remarkable
I just
how
wanted
that
to make
works.
sure that we all know that.
Yeah.
We are going to play the Natty tonight, baby. Bama and Ohio State.
Moment of silence for all the lives lost at Tulsa, Mississippi State.
Live in the Bank Plus studio, Steve Robertson coming up here in just a second. MSU won a basketball game. I don't know how many of you care about college basketball. Tough read there. It's more Mississippi State than Ole Miss, but that's still not a lot. But you got to give Ben Howland credit. I mean, see, Blake disagrees, and I'm right on this. Ben Howland has done a really good job.
I think that.
When you look at really who Mississippi State is, when you look at the talent that is produced in this state and the surrounding states, I mean, look, starting with the 2016-2017 season, Blake, Mississippi State has finished 12th, 7th, 6th, and 4th in the SEC.
It's improvement.
And, that's a pretty good direction in a state that produces very few high D1 players. In fact, the kind of D1 player that this state usually produces is what you see with DJ Stewart, a young man that it takes a little time. He redshirted. He played last year. His game was still, not refined, not sold. You can get a Jeffrey Simmons and A.J. Brown as true freshmen that, man, they contribute. And you do every now and then in basketball, I get it. But they contribute, and I mean they start or play, 80% of the first team snaps. But it's difficult considering kind of how we are made up in this state and in the surrounding states. So I think he's done a good job. And I also think that the women's program set unrealistic expectations. And I don't think that Ben is a promoter. He's not a promoter at all. And Rick Stansberry was a promoter. And there was a love affair with Rick, kind of like Ole Miss with Hugh. And so, we were around Stansberry all the time. And Rick could bring you in, much like free, and just make you feel like the most important person in the room. And he promoted the program. And he had a pretty big inner circle. That's just not who Howland is. So I think he's done a really good job. I think that the Mississippi State fan base, a lot of them inflate who they are and what they are in basketball. And I think DJ Stewart is the typical Mississippi prospect. Needs an enormous amount of development and time in the weight room and on the court, and then he becomes a good player. A lot of those guys, though, transfer because they're so highly recruited. Like the highly recruited guys aren't as good as they're supposed to be, Malik and so on. But this guy was not in that space. Neither was Q. But, of course, Q played day one. But I think DJ Stewart is the prospect from the state of Mississippi. Red shirt, then played some last year, and now really coming into his own in his third year. We're going to welcome in Steve Robertson, Hail State Insider, genespage.com. 247 Sports. Steve joins us on the Parrish Canebrake Brewing guest line. Steve, let's start with the wide receiver from Cal Berkeley, Makai Polk. Is that it? Tell me about him. What's going on?
Yeah, he's originally out of El Cerrito High School there nearby in the valley there. And, a guy that has played the last 2 years, played as a true freshman. And, this year they only played 4 games at Cal. He started 2 of them. An electric guy. A long, lean receiver that can elevate, and also with that tunnel screen, he's a guy that can navigate traffic and really break into the open field. And, Mike Leach likes to run that tunnel screen, and, sometimes you can block it up and sometimes you can't, but he's a guy that's a little bit of an eraser if you make a mistake. It's because he is so skilled in the open field. But this is a guy that's got 3 years of eligibility to play. He's only played the 2, obviously, and hadn't had the benefit of a redshirt year. So when this NCAA one-time transfer rule is enacted, and we expect that to happen here in the next few weeks. There was some discussion last week that it would be approved this week. Now I'm told that's been pushed back a little bit as they clean up some of the language. But that's going to happen, which will enable him to be able to play this year. So we expect him to be on the field in maroon and white this fall.
Will it happen? Will he enroll in the spring or June 1?
I'm trying to get some clarification on that. He hadn't been very responsive. We've reached out to try to get some clarity on that. But, school starts at Mississippi State today. And so ideally you'd like to have this thing done and let him get here before the drop ad date. And so, I think the thinking is because he was a full qualifier out of high school, there's nothing to inhibit him from making the transfer now. We're just trying to get some confirmation on when we should expect him to arrive on campus.
All right. And so the expectations for him is to start or play day one, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he'll be in the rotation from day one. And I'll tell you, I don't know that Mississippi State has anybody quite like him. Everybody always asks for, player-to-player comparisons. I think he kind of has his own niche within this scheme. He's not like Austin Williams. He's not that 7-yard curl guy that can go, get a first down for you in that respect. I think that he's a guy that's going to make plays really outside the numbers a lot more. I don't know that he's quite as thick as Malik Heath, but I think he's probably built a little more like Osiris Mitchell, not quite as lengthy, but I think athletically he's more advanced than Osiris.
Now, all right, so they went after another dude, and that didn't work out, and then they moved on Mekhi Polk. Walk me through what happened the last 3 or 4 days.
Okay, Trey Walker's who you're referring out of San Jose State, an explosive wide receiver there, and I understand he's no longer in school there at San Jose State, or he's no longer within the football program at San Jose State. So the SEC will not allow a 1-year transfer that is not a graduate. And so if you're a grad transfer, you come on and spend your last year in the SEC and, get your advanced degree and then hopefully go on and play in the National Football League. But Walker is not a graduate. And I understand that it's going to take some time in order for him to be a graduate. We're talking could be 2 semesters. And so that complicates things, and it doesn't allow him to kind of get in under the SEC rule. Now, the casual fan would say, well, Steve, if this is going to happen with the NCAA one-time transfer, why wouldn't he be subject to that? Well, I'm told the SEC rule is going to remain in place. They're not going to immediately make a change to that rule because what they're trying to avoid is having these people that don't have the degree progress requirements, that are not going to graduate someday, basically come to the SEC late is a bit of a dumping ground to kind of figure out a way to the National Football League. And so if you're not a graduate, you can't be a 1-year transfer to an SEC school. You have to have multiple years of eligibility remaining.
Okay. All right. And so that's why this worked for Mekhi Polk. You just said he's got 3 years of eligibility left.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's got 4 years to play 3. So let's say just, for some unbeknown reason, let's say that this one-time transfer rule doesn't go into play this year. Well, then he could take the redshirt year and still have 3 years to play. Well, where if you bring in Trey Walker and all of a sudden this transfer legislation doesn't come to fruition this year, well, now all of a sudden he's stuck. He's here. Mississippi State has to honor the scholarship against the benefit of him on the football field, so that's not a good deal for anybody. And so that's one of the reasons you have that rule. But in order to transfer into the SEC, unless you are a grad transfer, you must have multiple years of eligibility remaining.
Okay. All right. So Steve Robertson, 247 Sports, GeneSpage.com, Hail State Insider on the Miller Lite guest line, talking Hail State football right now. So where does that leave Leach and the staff as far as what other work they may want to do in the transfer portal going forward?
Well, you got 4 spots remaining. There are 26 spots in the Mississippi State signing class for 2021. You got your 25 for the calendar year, but there was still an initial grant available for 2020, so they used that in December. So they have the ability to sign 26 for this class. Now, with 22 people in, there are 4 spots remaining. One of those earmarked for Louisville high school defensive end Ty Cooper, and I'm told that could happen as early as today. We do believe Mississippi State's in a great position there. And listen, go ahead and save all the social media commentary. I understand nothing is final until National Signing Day, but he has not made a verbal commitment at any point through his recruitment, so that would be very significant. Then that takes up your final spot on the defensive line. The final 3 spots are going to be for defensive backs. They really like C.J. Johnson, it appears, from French Camp Academy. No guarantee you get him, but you like where State sits today. But you got to go out and get a couple guys out of the portal, probably a corner and a safety that can come in and play next year. That's where I think State's biggest needs are, not only in a recruiting class, but really on the field next year, is shoring up that secondary. You feel really good about what you have in your starting corners, but you got Fred Peters and C.J. Morgan coming back, and listen, we don't know what their health situation is going to be, but you want to add another player at corner and at safety to kind of give that unit some depth.
Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Okay, so football, 4 spots left, couple of high schoolers you just referenced, and maybe a couple of transfers. Will they be in the market for a all right, we have a text here. Will Mississippi State will they be in the market for a defensive lineman? I'm sorry, in the transfer, not a Ty Cooper, in the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's not expected. I mean, of course, if a difference maker comes along, you can always recalibrate. But as of now, no, they're not expecting that. I know a lot of people got excited when they saw Big Cat from Auburn was in the transfer portal and thinking, you know what, if you could get him with the defensive end issues you have at Mississippi State, that would clear up some issues. But I haven't heard of any plans about State looking to take a pass rusher from the transfer portal. But again, you've got some room to maneuver there. So if a guy comes along, it's too good to pass on, they could certainly go in that direction. But at this point, I haven't heard that that's the path they'll take.
Have you followed – I want to switch gears with you just for a second. Have you followed this Tennessee Jeremy Pruitt thing? And it looks like –
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So it looks like – and you can pick up where I leave off here. It looks like they're trying to get to a point in the investigation where they can fire him with cause. Is that the way you're reading the tea leaves, or what are you hearing?
I don't know if that's their agenda, but I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. And what's incredible about this, Bo, and I've talked to probably half a dozen people that have, some sense of knowledge about this whole thing, it's that this really is an investigation that originated with the Tennessee compliance department. A lot of times, the NCAA hears something or whatever, and then it's a joint investigation with the school and the NCAA. But I understand this actually did originate in the compliance department because of some comments that were made by, family members of players. And so it gets to compliance. They begin to dig into this thing. It appears there is an issue. And now they've gone out and hired two high-profile, high-dollar lawyers for the NCAA, Mike Glazier being one of them. That's when your school hires Mike Glazier, you're in trouble. That's just everybody kind of understands that. I mean, that's kind of like when back in the day when you hired Robert Kardashian or somebody like that, when you were in trouble, the high-priced Hollywood lawyers. That's kind of who Mike Glazier is. But this Tennessee thing, there are allegations, not just on recruiting, but there are allegations with current players. They're being provided benefits, and their families provided hotel rooms and meals and things of that nature so they could watch their kids play. And so the benefits didn't just end on signing day. They continued throughout the student-athlete experience there. And I understand it's multiple players and multiple classes. That's what the allegations look like. And if this happened with full knowledge of the coaching staff, I don't think there's any question. That entire group is gone.
Wow. Did you pick this up on Friday? I know you're doing other things, but Dan Patrick dropped that next in the on-deck circle of being investigated is Georgia. And I quote, I was told, and I know Dan's not a college football insider, but he's got great connections, and he may be wrong here. Here's his quote. I was told Georgia got sloppy this year in recruiting, or maybe it's been in a couple of years, but the NCAA is looking at Georgia as well. Have you heard anything about that, Steve?
That's the first I had heard of it. I've talked to a couple people, and they're kind of like, well, we'll see. There's always allegations out there when you're in the SEC, especially when you're a team that wins consistently. And I know that the relationship between Florida and Georgia is especially contentious. But I was told that Georgia actually turned in Tennessee for some potential tampering allegations, and we've had some experience with that here in the state of Mississippi in the past 12 months. But when you begin to look at this Tennessee experience, how crazy it all is. Then if you have that on top of it, you get tampering allegations, you get recruiting allegations, you get impermissible benefits to players and families allegations. This could really steamroll in a hurry. And when you look at the way the league is right now, Florida's now on probation. LSU's got major issues down there. They're facing probation in two sports and lack of institutional control. And there's Title IX issues involved. And Title IX issues get you fired. I mean, there's sure no coming back from any of that. So when you look at all this, I can't imagine Greg Sankey's getting a lot of sleep these days. I'm sure tonight will be a fun night for him, and then he'll have to get to work on cleaning up the image of the SEC here again in the next few months.
Yeah, look, this LSU investigation, first of all, the sexual misconduct stuff is bad. But when you look at what they're going through as far as self-imposing a bowl ban, the teams that don't have another team in the state rarely get checked by the NCAA. That's just the way it is, as you know, Steve. So you have to royally screw up if you're Tennessee LSU or Georgia. What are you hearing on the LSU investigation?
Well, the thing that I go back to, and when all the reports first came out about all the Title IX stuff and the sexual assault allegations, and let me just say this for the record: if any of that is true, and it was covered up by the administration at LSU or the coaching staff, if that is true, then everybody involved in that should never work in college athletics again at any point. They should be banned for life. And after what we saw at Baylor, after what we saw at Penn State, there has got to be some legislation enacted to ensure that this kind of thing doesn't happen, all in the name of winning. These ladies should not be walking around a college campus and being targeted by essentially predators, and then the football staff covered up because they can go out and get a first down for you on Saturday night. That's absolutely ridiculous. And so if that's true, everybody's got to be fired and everybody's got to be barred from NCAA work in the future. Now, the rest of that is all these recruiting allegations. I really think the fact that they have married themselves to Will Wade has only amplified their problems, because they made the motion to try to separate the basketball and football allegations, and the NCAA denied them that opportunity to do so. I really believe that is because of the fact that Will Wade is still employed there, and it shows that LSU is an unrepentant organization. And so they married the cases together, which to me, when you look at this, from the outside looking in, it's obvious they're positioning themselves to hit LSU with lack of institutional control to show that this is a systemic issue that is prevalent throughout the entire culture at LSU, that's not limited just to basketball, that it is a problem in the culture there. And we've also seen some of that in recent years here in the state of Mississippi. Once they decide that's who you are, they're going to go get you for that reason.
Wow. A couple minutes here left with Steve Robertson, 247 Sports, genespage.com. Steve, the basketball team, I didn't think they would beat Missouri. And I didn't think, even though Vanderbilt's not great, I didn't think that they would go on the road and beat Vandy. What do you think of this team today?
Well, I think they're a young team that's finding a sense of themselves. And I think Ben Howland has done a great job with this group. When they lost the first two games without Iverson Molinar, I think a lot of people said, well, this is going to be that kind of year. Listen, State's won 8 of the last 10. And a lot of that's because Molinar and, as you mentioned, DJ Stewart have kind of found their stroke. Listen, I don't think State fans realize this. Molinar and Stewart are 2 of the top 4 scorers in the SEC right now. I mean, so when has that happened? Well, it's very rare. I mean, you may have one guy have a great year. I think Ben's done a good job. And I think this team is, because of the parity in the league this year, could go on a run here and probably win some big ball games. But there's going to be some ebb and flow with a young team. Listen, as good as it was early in the stretch, then all of a sudden you lose it to a bad Kentucky team. You respond and you beat Mizzou, and then you go on the road and win a tough game against Vanderbilt, a place that State hadn't won a lot historically. And so you start getting a kind of sense of yourself and you make an emotional investment. But there's going to be some up and down because of the youth of this team. But this team, I think, can score in stretches, and that's something Ben Howland's teams hadn't always been able to do. They've been good defensively, they've been good rebounders, but they hadn't always been great offensively. And so I think you can feel good about where you are right now. You just got to keep it going.
Got the right guy at the point guard position, and he's had to fight through that with Lamar Peters and Nick Weatherspoon. 15 seconds, Steve. Can they make a run at the NCAA tournament?
I think they can, but they probably need a little help along the way.
All right. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. His new book, Alpha Dogs, is out. You can find it in the state of Mississippi, around. You can find it at the All Lifestyle Shop in the township in Ridgeland. I've got Blake Mania with me on a Monday. Hope you're doing well. Be careful out there. Want you to enjoy the snow, but, take it easy on the road for sure. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The show is powered by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home insurance and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. We got the Natty game tonight, Bama and Ohio State. Hour number 2 next.